Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. A lot of crypto investors are feeling a bit defeated, including many within the XRP community. And you can tell because, and this is kind of normal when prices are lower and lower for a prolonged period of time. Fewer people pay attention to anything crypto, and then a lot of the people that are around, even if they're paying attention, well, they want their moon time and their Lambos now. I get that, and I get it. We all want that. We all want that. But it does result in frequently a bit more of a sour attitude if you're hanging out on social media, which I've certainly noticed. But you ain't gonna have me falling in that trap. I have nothing but positivity here, and I am grounded in reality, mind you. But in terms of long-term viability of XRP, the future of this asset class on the whole, there are so many reasons. I'm not going to get behind this negative attitude. I don't think it makes sense. I don't think it makes sense to be having trouble sleeping at night. Directionally wonder what's going to happen with crypto big picture. I don't think it makes sense to be scared. Any of these things. I understand why people are scared, because anytime there's big price movements in any asset class, if you hold a certain amount of it, you put your hard-earned bucks into it. I understand. But it doesn't mean there's actually something wrong here. And I'll tell you this, look, I've been in crypto for almost 6 years now. And I would have a really hard time in my day-to-day life if I were responding like that on a regular basis. But I've been in this almost 6 years. It's also been almost 6 years since XRP hit its all-time high, which occurred on January 4th, 2018. And so what's the deal here? 6 years later, there's still, just about anyway, there's still no new all-time high? Are we all just wrong about XRP? No, I do not believe so. And I want to share with you some thoughts on this. There's this headline from the Crypto Basic. Top analyst says XRP is set for phenomenal explosion after 6 years of accumulation. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, as I record this video, XRP is 48 cents. Bitcoin's at 26,355 bucks. You may have realized this, or maybe not, but today's the 2-month anniversary of XRP Victory Day, when XRP nearly doubled in price in a matter of hours. And here we are 2 months later, and XRP is about a penny higher compared to when that move to the upside started. So we're about where we were. And you could say, okay, well, is there something fundamentally wrong with XRP? Is this the reason that it is what it is? A couple of things I've mentioned in recent videos, but it's definitely worth repeating since this is the topic of this video. Because are we wrong about XRP? Well, I sure as hell don't think so. I think it's very clear that the entire asset class moves in tandem. But if you compare over that selected time frame of what was the price right before XRP nearly doubled in price after we got legal clarity a couple months ago, if you look at Bitcoin and you look at XRP, XRP's technically a hair up. Not much, but Bitcoin's down a lot. It's because I can't remember what the price was, but I think it's down, but probably approaching 15% compared to that. So, even though there was correlation in terms of directionally what XRP price did, I think it's very clear that the price of XRP today is higher than it otherwise would have been. And fine, if it's disappointing to you, you're subjectively entitled to that opinion. Okay, but understand that when we're in a time like this where, yes, we've been clawing ourselves out of the bear market, which, we bottomed November of last year with the FTX collapse. True enough. But in a time like this, when there's not as much excitement, there is no euphoria here. In fact, fewer people are paying attention to crypto. Since fewer people are doing it, and you can see the vitriol on social media, do you think this is a time where demand is increasing or decreasing, right? Or is it staying about the same? It's certainly not increasing. So if there's not substantial demand coming in, then why would the price go up? It's no more complex than that, folks. And it's not because people hate XRP or don't want to pay attention to XRP. There aren't enough people paying attention to crypto to get that. That really is it. And people overcomplicate this stuff. And so I got to ask, why is it so hard for some people to separate the real world adoption and utility of XRP, which is obviously positive and good and increasingly going in the right direction? Why is it so hard for people to separate that from short-term price action? Because, in which XRP just moves in tandem with Bitcoin. Why can't people separate these things out and then recognize, oh yeah, well, XRP price is down compared to a couple months ago when it shot back up, but directionally it's doing the same thing as Bitcoin. How about that? XRP doesn't lead the market except for in short short-lived instances, which did occur actually 2 months ago, but those are exceedingly rare. They don't last for long periods of time. It is Bitcoin that leads the market. I'm just not seeing a big problem with this. And so there is this post from my fellow XRP YouTuber Kevin Cage, and he said, "Let time do all the talking. We are right about this asset class." And so I share the opinion that I think Kevin Cage has, which is that even if we're early, we're not wrong about this in terms of long-term viability, certainly for crypto, and I think it's very clear XRP has some serious staying power at this point. We're not wrong. You know, the short-term price action doesn't mean that. And I get it. You could say, but it's been 6 years. Okay, well, I also think that it's very clear that we had an attack on XRP holders for 2.5 years from the SEC, and it happened during the last bull market. I happen to notice that was a thing. It's not like XRP was the bastard child and it was the only top 10 crypto that wasn't going to hit all-time high regardless. No, it was the SEC, quite obviously. And I'll say this, look, and I've mentioned this before, but not in a long time. When I first jumped into crypto, and I'm talking November of 2017, I remember thinking, well, because I just started my research, so I was not particularly well informed, but I wanted to start purchasing little bits because I also wanted the experience of doing that and what it was like for self-custody. To me, putting that money in was part of my research, and I didn't put any like big amounts of money in until later on, after I had done sufficient research and understood exactly what I was doing. But to me, buying some, dipping the toe in the water, that was actually part of the research process itself. But I remember thinking, even back then, I have a strong suspicion that crypto is never going to go away, and so maybe that means I hold for 5-10 years, and then we'll just see what happens, because that sounded at the time pretty far away. And from that point in time, you know, now we're just several years away from that upper end, that 10-year mark that I was thinking internally in my head. But it's not like I have some sort of hard break, and that because 10 years has passed, I'm now just exiting crypto and selling everything. That's not the point that I was making to myself internally. Was I think that this is just something that I need to ride with for a long time, because I already understood. The people that make money in stocks, if you're investing in stocks, it's the people that don't lose money. They're not getting in and out of positions. It's the same thing, and they're holding for the long haul. You know, it's mostly not exciting, especially if you're talking about equities, right? But I understood that that's the mentality that was needed. I understand that the people that focus day in, day out on the price, if it's hitting them in the feels, that's probably not a good thing to focus on. Some people can't handle that. And I get that. That's just, you're a normal human then. I'm saying that to rip you to shreds or make fun of you. I don't think you're bad or stupid or anything. I just think you're normal. I'm weird. Like, it doesn't hit me anymore. I haven't felt emotions about crypto price action in over half a decade, and I literally mean that. So I'm weird. I get that. But if it is something that's hitting you, it is okay. And maybe that's what some people are doing, because there are fewer people paying attention to crypto now. But you know what happens. Things start turning around, and then more people jump in, and then more people are paying attention, and then a bunch of people that should be paying attention now will end up buying the top. That's what happens every damn market cycle here. And you know, subjectively, when we think stuff is going to happen or should happen in terms of price action, we all have these thoughts from time to time. Like, for instance, it was late 2017 or early 2018 when I saw this video clip of Brad Garlinghouse. I want to say it was 2018, but it was right around that time when XRP had hit its all-time high. And he said, look, when I'm thinking about XRP price action, I'm thinking, 3 to 5 years out. Okay, now, when you say 3 to 5 years out, that seems far away in the moment, but now we're past that, okay? And granted, like I said, yes, there was the SEC lawsuit, I understand. So that obviously suppressed the price of XRP. But the point is, like, whatever timeline you're thinking internally, just because you think that makes sense or you want that to be so, it doesn't mean that reality's gonna line up with what your dreams are effectively. And so that's why for me, since I just recognize I have no control over this whatsoever, I don't know what's gonna happen with the price of XRP. I'm telling you right now, and I can be wrong and it all goes to zero. I always admit that, but I'm very optimistic for very many reasons. And so whenever it happens, it happens. But XRP will not sit here fluttering about, in the upper 40-some cent region forever. It's just not gonna do that. It's either going to go to zero or it's going to hit a new all-time high at some point. One of those things is going to happen first. And you know what my bet is. So I get it. Sometimes what we want doesn't comport with what reality is, but that's why I'm going to sit around and do nothing, because I know I can't control it, and it doesn't matter what timeline I'd like or what I think. Who cares? I'm just a dude on the internet named Moon Lambo. So then there was also this, and this is from attorney Bill Morgan. And I think this kind of drives the point home, especially on a day where we're now 2 months after XRP Victory Day, where XRP was deemed to be not a security. Attorney Morgan wrote, if you are a long-term holder and did not sell at this level on July 12th before the Torres decision, why sell now given, number one, legal clarity, XRP isn't a security. Number two, only Ripple institutional sales are investment contracts. 3, multiple exchange relistings and new listings. 4, new XRP pairs such as XRP EUR pairs on LCX and Bybit exchanges. And so, folks, obviously he's not writing a comprehensive list here, but you get the cut of his jib, right? There's all sorts of other reasons to be excited as well. What about all the NFT activity? All the other developers building on top of the XRP ledger. There's Spin the Bits. There's the new amendment passing with automated market making, which I'll talk about in a separate video, but it seems as though it's possible even that can help to drive XRP price, potentially anyway. And then if you talk bigger picture, since the asset class moves in tandem, what about the inevitable spot Bitcoin ETFs, which will be coming, and the trillions of dollars that could bring in, and what that will do to rise price over time? I'm not going to be one of the sad pandas out there, folks. I'm excited for this because I've been here before. I was here several years ago and everybody felt depressed then, and I thought I was being the voice of reason, and looking in hindsight, I was like, yeah, I get it, people feel like this, but things don't stay here forever. Things come back, price go high, and then it did. What do you know? And I'm not a chart guy, and I didn't make a specific prediction. It's more about just acknowledging what are easy to spot, human emotions and how they're cyclical. I'm not some sort of wizard. I'm just aware of this. And so, of course, it came back. And so I'm saying it again right now. And then we're going to be in euphoria. And then a bazillion people are going to plow in. And the asset class is going to be worth way more than it was at the peak. And at the peak, I think the market cap for the entire asset class was somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe something like $3.2 trillion. It's going to be way higher than that. And XRP, I believe, is going to have a slice of that. It sucks that we didn't get ours, in 2021 when everything else went. It was the correlative price action. But the XRP was shackled with the lawsuit. Of course, fewer people are going to be willing to take that risk. So I get it. But that's done now. That is absolutely done. So we will see what happens. But I couldn't be more optimistic. Here's what Credible Crypto had to say, by the way. Sideways chop after an impulsive move is exactly what we want to see. Here, I'll make this full screen because he's sharing also. I'll pause a note. He's sharing a Bitcoin USD chart. And then Credible Crypto chart analyst shared this with his 346,000 followers. Many are probs waiting for a retest of range lows at $25,200, which is logical, but in the most bullish scenario, we simply go sideways and then see another leg up. Which brings us to this now, because not everybody is being very negative. Not everybody's hit so hard in the feels that they cry and say that everything's going to hell in a handbasket. So here's a headline from the Crypto Basic. Top analyst says XRP is set for phenomenal explosion after 6 years of accumulation. A prominent crypto influencer predicts an XRP price explosion as investors believing in its long-term potential continue to amass the asset for 6 years. And so, folks, if you are one of the people like me who was very positive about XRP's long-term viability, based on utility, back when prices were higher, maybe even during the euphoria of 2021, what has changed now? Do you really believe that now the short-term price action, which does nothing but follow Bitcoin in a broad sense, that now is indicative of whether or not XRP will or won't hit a new all-time high and whether or not it has long-term viability? It is or it isn't. Which is it, folks? Is it that the short-term price action, which today has nothing to do with anything other than really than just following Bitcoin, so that now is an indicator of XRP's future worth and actual utility, or is it not? Because I say it's not. I say that makes no damn sense. I believe that ultimately utility matters and will win the day, and price catches up with this stuff. But as far as I'm concerned, I know we're 14 years in. Looks to me like we're pretty well in the nascency of this asset class. Same with the internet. It took several decades, because the internet had been around since the 60s, mind you. First few decades, a little slow, right? But eventually technology caught up, infrastructure is built out. And so it may feel like we're far along 14 years, but I think people look back another 50 years from now and be like, yeah, that was the nascency. It was mostly just a bunch of speculation, hard to figure out where the utility is, but as was the case with the internet, it gets figured out. So do you really, I got to ask it again, do you really think that the short-term price action, which we know follows Bitcoin, that is some sort of mark, that's some sort of indicator of whether or not XRP will be here for the long haul, whether or not there will be long-term utility? Do we, even if you look over the last 6 years, do we really believe that? I don't. I think that makes no damn sense. And there's overwhelming evidence that XRP price just follows Bitcoin. And so that's why when I see what I see here, and it's not that there's nobody positive, and kudos to you if you're, not letting short-term price action get the best of you. There are positive people. I think there's, but even beyond that, I just want to make the point that there's reason to not be having trouble sleeping at night. I mean, and look, mind you, I'm not speaking about your specific situation. I would never assume to advise you on what you should or shouldn't do investing in anything, and I'm not here. That's not the point. I'm just sharing with you my everyday Joe Schmo thoughts here, and I think that I'm making sense. But obviously there could be individuals that are over-leveraged in any purchase of anything, whether it's an equity or whether it's Bitcoin or whether it's XRP. And if some people need to sell because it makes legitimate sense in their lives, okay. And I'm not begrudging anybody. Do what you want. It doesn't matter to me. I have no power to change what happens here anyway. I'm just sharing my actual thoughts. And I think that this is going to be worth an absolute fortune in the future. I think that an all-time high is still inevitable. And I believe that Bitcoin's going to lead the way, like it always has. Bitcoin is number one in market cap. It is the leader. It's what most people jumping into crypto are paying attention to, and that's fine. I don't care. I just want a bigger crypto pie. That's awesome as far as I'm concerned. I'm more excited about XRP, of course. But man. So this will be one of those videos where maybe I'll point back to it, whether it's a year or two, whatever it takes for us to get, or maybe it'll be less, I don't know. But whatever it takes for us to get back to the point where everybody's super duper excited and XRP's over $1, and as we're approaching an all-time high, I'll just point back and be like, see? Because that is what's going to happen. And I don't know when, and it doesn't really matter. There's no way I could know what's going to, when that's going to be. And I'll point out, by the way, when we're in Euphoria, I'll point out, hey, just so you know, whether it's half a year or a year or two, whatever, at some unknown point in the future, I know XRP just hit its all-time high, but I just want to tell you guys, people are going to be sad pandas in a little bit. Because nothing goes up in a straight line forever. It's going to go down. And guess what? It's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean that it's going to zero that action in and of itself. So I'll always give the warning ahead of time here. And I know that a lot of you listening understand this stuff, but since we're not actual robots, since we are human, I think that it's very useful to have these reminders. So even if you logically know this stuff, it's good to think through it and maybe talk with people about it. And that's why I want to make this video today, because there's just so much negativity lately. I'm like, all right, children, come around the fire. It's story time with Uncle Moon Lambo. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. So anyway, but this article reads, the rest of it reads as follows. I don't need to read the whole thing. There's just a couple parts here I wanted to highlight. And they're talking about an influencer. I wasn't familiar with him. Not that that means anything. It doesn't. But the guy's name is John Squire. 486,000 followers on social media platform X. Rather impressive. And here, I can actually just read the post because that's what matters the most here. He simply wrote, are people even aware that XRP has been in an accumulation phase for probably about 6 years? The explosion will exceed all expectations. And folks, there is truth to this, which they go into cite, and I've talked about this many times over the years on this channel here. But as they say, here, I'll read it right here. Notably, an asset in an accumulation phase implies that it has been in a relatively stable or sideways price movement after a previous uptrend or downtrend. And so, folks, there's a few different ways that I see this articulated, but you know the dorky sounding phrase, which I like anyway. The longer the base, the higher in space, anything like that. And there seems to be some truth to that. Move sideways for a long time, fine. Shake people out, but then when it finally goes. Credible Crypto talks about that all the damn time here. And I'm just saying, the idea that XRP is never going to hit a new all-time high at some point in the future is absurd to me. To me, that just sounds silly. You're telling me that the best that there ever would be for one of the largest cap cryptos on the entire planet, and even after getting legal clarity, the best it would ever see occurred on January 4th, 2018, and that was it. That's all she wrote. And then we've all just been wrong ever since then. I do not believe that. I absolutely do not believe that. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and it goes to zero, fine. But I don't believe for a moment that is what's most probable. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.